Hey y'all, Zach here. I'm a real estate agent in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm going to talk to you about how to win a multiple offer situation as a buyer. The market has gotten really crazy right now, and all over the place we're seeing homes get tons of offers. I've heard up to 30 or more on some of these properties around Nashville. It's absolutely crazy, but there are a few things that you can do before you start looking for free on the offer, and some unique ways that you can use your money to win multiple offer scenarios and get into your dream house. So let's start with the things that you can do before you even start looking for houses. The first thing, and it's absolutely the best to make sure that you can get into your dream house, is to start looking early. If you can give yourself at least 4 months before you actually want to move into your house, you'll have such a leg up on other buyers because you can have the patience to find the right house and the time to look at the market and really start to understand what you can get for your money and what your goal is. The more houses you can see to get a feel for what's going for what amount of money in the market, the better chance you have of knowing when you're on a house that you are willing to pay for. In a multiple offer scenario, you want to be sure that you want that house because every bit of certainty you have will give you an advantage in your sincerity and also in how far you're willing to stretch your money. The next thing you can do, once you get a little bit of a feel for that and you talk with your real estate agent, is figure out what you value more than the market. If you can find items in a house where you really want to spend money that the market doesn't care about, you're willing to pay more than other buyers on a property. These are some of the best houses for you to look at and some of the ones you're most likely to win on. Another thing your agent can help you do that will really help is talk about why you want the features that you want in a home. One of the best examples I can give for this to help you understand is a classic scenario almost every agent has heard of or experienced in their own practice. A lot of buyers right now might say that they want a 3-bedroom house, and their agent will ask them, okay, great, what do you want to use the bedrooms for? The reason to ask that question is that a lot of buyers will actually want an office. And again, this is a classic example that a lot of agents experience. When you want an office in your home, a lot of homes actually have an office space that does not count as a bedroom. When you just tell an agent that you want 3 bedrooms, without explaining that the office is needed, an agent might skip over a house that's perfect for you that you could get a great deal on because it's really only a 2-bedroom with an office. You can still get all of your needs and why you want the features that you want without getting explicitly the features because your agent knows what you're looking for and knows how to help you find it. Another great example I'll leave in this category is a common request for a 3-car garage. Someone plans to store 2 cars inside the garage and use the 3rd space for storage. In the market right now, sheds are certainly not helping home values and may actively be hurting them. But if you're looking for an extra storage space, it might be the perfect solution to get you into a dream house right now that meets all of your needs. The final thing you can do before you start looking is to look in a different segment of the market. There are 2 key areas that you can look that might help you get a leg up. The first area is new construction homes. New construction homes are almost always sold on a first-come, first-served basis. That means that you won't be in a multiple offer bidding scenario because you'll typically be the only offer at the time. The drawback to this situation is that you have a very small turnaround time from when you see a property or a model home and when you have to put a down payment on. You'll also need a flexible closing date to match with the speed of construction as labor shortages grow and shrink during this busy time period. If you are interested in purchasing a new construction home, one of my next videos will be about how to get the most out of a new construction home, some of the key items to look for when you're previewing a model home and a neighborhood, and some of the considerations to make while planning your floor plan and your finishes. If you want to see that video, be sure to subscribe so that you get notified when that video is released. The last segment of the market that you can look at are off-market homes. A lot of agents will be excited to work with you in this area, although it can be challenging and can require a few extra special considerations on your part before you start looking. The process of looking at an off-market home will consist of you finding properties that are not for sale that you think that you could really enjoy. Your agent will reach out, contact the homeowner, and ask if they would be interested in letting you see the home. If the homeowner says that they're willing to let you see the home, you need to be prepared to make an offer that day if you want the house. Additionally, your offer will have to have a really flexible closing date because these people weren't even planning on moving, so they're going to need a lot of extra time to get to closing. One solution to this problem to make sure that you get the house locked down is to go ahead and close and then rent out the home for a few months while the original homeowner finds a new place to live. This house hunting strategy can be a little tricky because, like I said, you'll have to be able to close quickly and you'll have to have a flexible closing date to let the original homeowner find a new place to live. However, it can be really great because because the home wasn't listed on the market, you won't be competing against other potential buyers for the property. So those are the most common techniques you can use before you start looking for homes. Next up, let's talk about what you can do for free on your offer once you do find a home that you're willing to compete on. The first thing you can do, and it's really something that your agent can do, is be an easy buyer to work with. If your agent is communicating clearly and show that you're willing to work to get the home closed quickly, the homeowner is much more likely to want to work with you as a buyer. One way that you can manifest this that can also help is for your agent to ask what specifically the homeowner is looking for. If the homeowner wants to close at a later date or an earlier date, or maybe wants certain contingencies to be changed, it really helps to know that that's what the homeowner is looking for so that you can put those items into your offer if you're comfortable with them. Another common tactic that's hitting the market right now is to write a letter to the sellers. Now, you might be thinking, write a letter, what do you mean? You're gonna write a letter that talks about what you're going to do with the home, why the home will be special to you, and why you'll love the home as much as the original homeowner did. Homeowners will be inclined to give their property that they've lived in and loved for so long to someone who they trust to take care of the property. In certain situations, these letters will help you get a property even if you don't have money to compete with some of the other offers. Another tip you can use is that if you have some key benefits to your offer compared to others, have your agent verbally present those benefits to the other agent. The reason it's important to include these is that in a busy multiple offer scenario, agents can miss small details in offers that might be really important. It really helps to, again, have that clear communication where you convey exactly what you're offering and why you're offering it and why it's the best choice for the homeowner. If you want, you can double down and mention some of these key benefits in your letter that you're writing to the homeowner. This ensures that the message is clearly communicated to the homeowner and they're more likely to see the benefits to your offer. Finally, and it's pushing the lines on what actually costs money, is that you can adjust the amount of earnest money that you put down with your offer. Now, overall, earnest money will be used to pay towards your closing costs and the value of the home later. So in a sense, it's just a deposit that's going to be reused later. Putting forward a larger amount of earnest money can put it at risk, and you'll have to talk with your agent about what your risk tolerances are and the ways that you could potentially lose that earnest money. However, ultimately, that earnest money should go towards the value of the home on a net zero basis that allows you to put some amount of weight behind your offer, essentially for free. Speaking of earnest money, the next thing you can do is waive contingencies or negotiate closing costs. What waiving contingencies will risk is your earnest money. The more contingencies you waive, the more likely you'll have to lose that earnest money to back out of purchasing the home if you need to. You'll have to talk with your agent about which contingencies you can drop. The three primary contingencies on most offers are inspection, financing, and appraisal. An inspection contingency means that you can have a home inspector come in and look over the house to find any issues and then negotiate with the seller without the risk of losing your earnest money. An appraisal contingency is often necessary to ensure that you can qualify for a loan on the home. If the home isn't worth the value that you're trying to qualify for, you'll have to put additional money down or lose your earnest money if you can't get the loan. Finally, a financing contingency ensures that if for some reason you're unable to qualify for a loan on that specific home, you'll be able to get your earnest money back. Some homeowners like to see the money over ask in the closing costs section of the contract rather than the overall value of the home. There are a few different reasons why individual homeowners might want the money to go in one direction or the other, but it's good to have your agent ask where the money might be most appreciated. Speaking of, one obvious way that you can use money to get in and win in a multiple offer situation is to put money over the asking price. This is a common technique, but I would recommend using it in conjunction with a lot of the other things that we've talked about to ensure that you aren't overspending unnecessarily on a home. If you do decide that you want to get a home no matter what, and you need to pick a number to offer over asking on the home, you can use what's called an escalation clause. Escalation clauses say that you'll pay a certain amount over the next highest offer, up to a maximum. So let's just use an example of a $400,000 home where a competing offer offers $405,000. Your escalation clause says that you'll pay $1,000 over the next highest offer. In this case, you'll pay $406,000, $1,000 over the next highest offer. Now, if part of your escalation clause says that you'll pay a maximum of $403,000, you would not be required to pay the $406,000 because it's over your threshold of your escalation clause. In practice, on an escalation clause for a $400,000 home in a really competitive market, which is when you'll use an escalation clause, you want a much higher maximum than $403,000, something closer to $410,000, $415,000 whatever you're truly willing to pay for the home. Finally, the last way that you can plan to pay over sticker and use money to win a multiple offer situation is to plan on spending money after you purchase the home. If you find a cheaper home where you're going to need to do some amount of renovations and pay to have some work done on the home, you'll get a lower sales price and be willing to pay a little bit more than someone who plans on living in the home as is. This will cost you money on the back end and may take a while to get your home fully settled and set up just the way you want it, but it can be a great way to find a property where you can win that multiple offer scenario. So those are the most common techniques for winning a multiple offer scenario as a buyer. If you've heard of any other tactics that might help you win in a multiple offer scenario, please leave a comment and I'll make sure that other people can see it. If you have any questions about your specific situation, feel free to send me a message or leave a comment and I'll try to work with you to understand exactly what's going on for your specific scenario. If you're thinking about purchasing a home in the Nashville area, again, send me a message or leave a comment and we'll talk about your specific situation and see what I can do to help. And finally, to get the most out of your current and future home, like, follow, subscribe, wherever we're at. Stick around for the next video. I can't wait to see you then. Thanks.